Now, we have talked about these two ideas of personality on the one hand, and the second idea is this idea of character strength. Now, these are different things. Right? In this video, I'm just hoping to clarify the difference between these two things, right? So they're definitely connected. They're a way of thinking about who you are, about what you do, all of that kind of thing, but they're quite different. Now, personality, what personality does is it says, okay, we want to capture, in a kind of scientific way, we want to capture who you are in a way that helps us to predict what you'll do, right? So personality is about how do we understand who a person is? You know, so personality, we know, just as a quick recap, we've got this kind of idea of openness, we've got the idea of conscientiousness, we've got the idea of extroversion, we've got the idea of agreeableness, and we've got the idea of emotionality. And basically what we're suggesting is that each person has varying combinations of that. So you might be fairly low in openness, you might be much higher in conscientiousness, very low in extroversion, really high in agreeableness, and medium in emotionality. And this tells us something about who you are, okay? So this is a way of capturing your whole personality. Now, just because you're a certain personality characteristic doesn't guarantee that we know exactly what you're going to do at every time, because the thing that sits on top of this is, you know, your goals and your intentions. Okay, so you'll often come across people who look like extroverts, but because of their goals, not that one, who look like extroverts, but because of their goals, they're not actually highly extroverted. They've just learned to be really upfront and present. But in actual fact, they're low on extroversion, but their goals have influenced who they've become. Okay, so personality tries to capture the whole thing as much as it can. Now, character strengths is different. What character strength is saying is we all have strengths in who we are, right? Part of that might be driven by personality, but we all have strengths in who we are. It's not trying to capture everything about you. What it's saying, what the basic idea of character strengths is saying, is that if you have a look at all of these strengths, so they've identified these 24 strengths, and they've said, okay, if we measure all of them and we identify your top 5 strengths, right? So we identify the top 5. Now, you might have other strengths that are just below this, but all we're suggesting at this point is that if we identify your top 5 and we tell you to make a point of using them more, okay? So if we said to you, and we kind of are in this assessment, if we said to you, identify your top 5, and your top 5 were kindness, love, now I can't think of anything, humour, and then we said, okay, create a plan for how you're going to use those in the subject. Recognize this is in the first assessment task. How are you going to use those in the subject? Then what we know is that your life will improve, okay? That your productivity will go up, that that your enjoyment of things will go up, right? So by intentionally using the things that we're strong on, we're actually going to get better kind of outcomes. So that's quite a different proposition to personality, which is trying to capture who you are as a whole. This is basically saying, so yes, the fact that you're high in kindness does say something about who you are, but it doesn't capture everything. But really the proposition of character strengths is use your strengths more and you will have a better life, a richer life. The proposition of personality is that by understanding a person's personality, you can have an understanding of who they are and of what they will do. Okay, so we know that extroverts, someone who's high in extroversion is more likely to spend more time with people and get more pleasure out of social situations. It predicts something, right? So personality is about predicting something. The character strength proposition is about improving life. Now, when you're doing this first assessment task, you just need to talk about how your personality and or character strengths, using your character strengths, will influence the way in which you engage with this subject at both the assessment level, but also at the community engagement level. So obviously to do that, you need to understand personality. And I would encourage you to have a dig around. There's some great research around the Big 5 personality. And remember that when in the model that we've got is each of these have two kind of sub-factors, and you might actually find it easier to look at those two factors. Make sure you have a look at that. You could even go back to the original research, have a look at those websites that we've given you, and find that, that information. So I'm looking forward to seeing these videos. I hope that helps to clarify. You don't actually need to explain the connection, but I know that that question has come up, so I just wanted to share that with you. Looking forward to watching the videos. Catch you later.